This evening, Cheryl Grace, President and CEO of Redecorating with Feng Shui, is a professional Feng Shui practitioner and a Hay House author. As a nationally certified interior refiner, Cheryl has provided residential and business consultations for a variety of clients nationally, and is an expert on staging homes for a faster and easier sale using time-proven principles of Feng Shui. And Cheryl, hello.
Hello, how are you, Maureen?
I'm doing great. I've been really enjoying. I just want to say real quick, I was on your site looking into your a lot of your videos you put on there. Everybody wants to know, like little tips. There were quite a few of them. I was doing that about a half an hour ago, enjoying every bit of them. Your videos. I'm so excited about. I was searching for the best guest for this topic because it's deserving of such, and you're it. You're
Well,
it.
thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, it's true. Thank yourself. But I would really like, just to get started, would you like to, actually we can go into this. What really is amazing about you, your credentials are unbelievable. And I do want to ask you about, because for everybody, me too. You were formerly an ESPN corporate executive, and then you transitioned into Feng Shui practitioner. And I'm curious about that backstory of how you transitioned to that full time. How did that happen?
Yeah. Well, I started out as a gymnast when I was in high school and college, and so I progressed through working for USA Gymnastics, and then got hired by ESPN Sports Network. And I went up the ladder in the corporate world, and of course, society's definition of success is just that. You know, you're a senior level executive, you make a lot of money, you get to go to a lot of places, and then you get to buy a lot of things. So I did that for about 14 years, but as I kept climbing up that corporate ladder, I felt less and less satisfaction. So I started to really think about, what am I doing? Is this my life purpose? And I think a lot of people go through that same transition, is just wondering if this is their work that they're supposed to be doing. And when I tried to answer that question, it was clearly a no. So I started to just think about what else would I like to do, and I kind of got a little bit on the path of decorating, because it seemed to be the opposite of Feng Shui. So I went to decorating school while still working at ESPN, and that wasn't quite it. So I went for training to be a certified Feng Shui practitioner, and once I went through the program and started to apply Feng Shui in my home, I knew that's what I wanted to do as my life work.
So did you have a longing, or did you have a connection, do you feel, with the Feng Shui? I mean, it's been around, the whole concept, the principle of it, for so long, or was it not until you just decided, well, I'm going to go learn this? I mean, was it something you think maybe that was always, part of, in your home? Like, how were you even though you ended up doing this, like in your home, like, for me, for instance, lighting has always been something really important to me, and people never put lighting important. Like, remember the little spotlights, little tiny ones, you get really inexpensive. In the 80s, I remember buying those, and people go, oh, you got a beautiful home. No, I don't. It was just the lighting looked beautiful for inexpensive. So do you think that perhaps maybe this was something that you must do? I mean, it's part of, the way I look at my work, I must do this. It wasn't like I planned this, but you're so connected to it.
Well, I always felt that I was always intrigued by Feng Shui because I like the design science of it. I like how it helps you decorate your home and sort of create your personal sanctuary. It's the way that Feng Shui describes the use of color and shapes and lighting and placement of furniture and artwork and accessories that I always found really interesting and intriguing. And in answer to your question, yes, I think I was born to do this because once I went to Feng Shui school, I was certified at the Western School of Feng Shui out in San Diego. I was in a class with 22 other people, and I just got this information like I had known it all my life and before my life. It was just inherent. And I've always said that I know Feng Shui better and deeper than I'm even physically trained in. It's just inherent in me. It's intuitive.
That's fascinating because I know the school. I live in San Diego. I don't know if you
Oh,
knew
you
that.
live in San Diego, so you know my master teacher was Tara Catherine Collins, and she has written about 7 or 8 Feng Shui books, so she's a master at the subject level, and I was just very fortunate to train under her.
Yeah, it's a very highly regarded schooling. I mean, absolutely. Wow, I didn't know that. That's great. That makes sense. Well, I know you just explained a lot of things about, but perhaps maybe for those listeners who may not know, because it is confusing for some people. They get misconceptions about what it is or whatever. It confuses people. I know that. So what is the principles or what is Feng Shui?
Well, I'll give you a great overview. There is basically 2 schools of Feng Shui. One is considered compass Feng Shui, and one is considered form school Feng Shui. Feng Shui started in China over 3,000 years ago, but it was developed because primarily it was a way to find the location of your home and to build your home and to create prosperity around your home. But it came from China, and so the philosophy was deeply rooted in the topography of the land of China. The aggressors were from the north. They built the Great Wall of China. The ocean was in the south, or the sea. And so a lot of the compass Feng Shui, the north, south, east, west compass part of that philosophy of Feng Shui, came from the way the situation was based in China. And as we tried to take this design science and move it to the Western world, it doesn't always translate as well as it did in China, because a lot of the places where we live, it is what it is. The house was already built there. We can't necessarily build a home or an office building from scratch. We can't use the compass directions of what should face north, south, east, west. So we base the Feng Shui on the way you enter the home. So your front door is sort of the entryway into your home, and which creates the mapping of the Feng Shui. So with Feng Shui, everybody uses primarily the 3 essential tools of Feng Shui, which is the principle of yin and yang. Yin and yang, as you hear it called. It's basically the balancing of the extremes. The second tool we use is called the 5 elements. It means that if every home has all of the 5 elements, which is wood, metal, fire, water, and earth, then everything feels in symmetry and in balance with each other. And the last thing we use is my favorite tool, which is called the Bagua map. It is like a tic-tac-toe board that you place over your home, and it creates 9 sections, just like a tic-tac-toe board, and each little area, each little zone, it represents a different life aspect. So if you arrange your home and your artwork and your accessories according to the principles of each of these little 9 zones, then you can improve your life in many ways, whether it's wealth or relationships or romance or whatever that is. And that's my favorite tool to use in Feng Shui.
Isn't that about the turtle, correct? Is that what you're talking about? It comes
well,
from
the turtle. The turtle is where the Bagua map, the little grid that I talked about, the tic-tac-toe board, it actually came, or the inspiration came, from the design on the back of a turtle. So that's why in classical Feng Shui, they think of the turtle as this sacred symbol of the Feng Shui Bagua map, because the little, if you ever look on the back of the turtle, the little diagram that sort of is on the turtle shell is the inspiration for the Bagua map. Maureen?
Oh, I'm sorry. I was on mute.
Okay, sorry.
The turtle. I'm sorry. The turtle. How I learned about that was because I was on your website where you had all the, your videos, and everybody listened, and I learned about the turtle. That's why I asked. I thought that was really great insight. And it makes sense to me too. And it's always good to place turtles around, and they say.
Yes, it's considered good Feng Shui. It's kind of a personal thing that you would put into just kind of remind yourself. I actually like one. I have one in my house, but that's like a traditional classic enhancement. And of course, you can put a lot of things in your house that are just simply things that are beautiful. They don't always have to be a classical Feng Shui enhancement that is more typical of Eastern Feng Shui.
So, so Cheryl, I wanted to ask you, you touched on this at the beginning, but you were interested into interior design, correct? That's
Yes.
how. Okay, and it's interesting. I went to Newport Beach back in the '70s. Interior Designers Guild is what it was called. I don't know, and I never did anything with it, but so you had that eye going. Not to mention everybody. Also, I want everybody that's listening, Cheryl. You are a fantastic artist, by the way. I'm amazed. I didn't realize that until this last week. But so the feng shui. Not every interior design, and not is that the right way? I don't want to call some. Yeah, nowadays it's not politically correct to call it like a flight attendant. Stewardess. So, is it interior designer? Is that okay to say that interior designer?
Interior, I consider myself an interior decorator, or even more so an interior refiner. Because I like to redecorate homes. I think everybody collects a lot of their own personal choices, their treasures, heirlooms from that are passed down from family, and so I like to use what people already have in the home and then just go from there. So I consider myself more of an interior refiner, interior decorator. I'm a redecorator. But I take and then use all the principles that I learned in design school as well as what I've learned from Feng Shui design and incorporate that all into the planning of the design in a home or an office.
Well, I think this is really great because do you find that more the people that you've come across that I like to how you put it, a refiner. I like that too. But do you find that some people don't really have a hoot and tootin' craze with doing anything? I don't know why I don't talk like hoot and tootin'. Some designers feel that Feng Shui is like whatever, or do you feel that maybe it's like now getting more all across the line, like other people or people in their profession as a designer or decorator? Do you find that more and more are using the Feng Shui principles? Or do you
I think interior designers are certainly becoming more aware of it because at the very least they might have a Feng Shui client. So I think that it behooves them to understand the principles and things, but the whole Feng Shui design science is so rich in how to use and place furniture in the home for good traffic flow, for good energy flow, for the use of color, and I've said before, the use of shapes, and the way that you balance a home so that when you walk in, it looks and feels fantastic. I've seen a lot of homes. I actually live in Sarasota, Florida. We have a lot of high-end homes here that use interior designers, and yet the people are calling me because even their home is very beautiful, it seems off somehow.
Right.
And when I walk into it, I know immediately what it is because the interior designer can still create a beautiful environment, but it still doesn't have good feng shui.
There's a lot of people that may say, or perhaps I would feel that maybe this might be the case, would say, well, would you come in and do my home, but we want feng shui part of the whole situation, and they won't have a lot of knowledge, but they'll say, sure, they can do that, right?
And and I've actually had people that call me and says, I don't even understand what feng shui is, but I want you to come do your thing. And so I sort of, in my hour or 2 hours or 3 hours of consultation, I actually give them a private feng shui lesson as I'm working with consulting on the home because they're thirsty for the knowledge. They don't understand it, but they perceive it to be a good thing. And so they're willing to try it out. So I think that the more and more people are studying feng shui and understanding feng shui in ways that is a little simpler to understand, then I think they're more apt to use feng shui in their design process.
And also knowing that actually you could have an experience with someone that really does know what they're doing, like yourself.
Yes, exactly.
Opposed to, do you teach? I'm just curious. You'd be great. Oh, yeah, you are a mentor. Do you mentor other people in design to use correctly or to understand how to use?
Yes, I taught for a number of years at the Ringling School of Art and Design. It's one of the premier interior decorator school in the entire country. and it's based here in Sarasota, and I taught Feng Shui design there. But what I also do now, because I'm so busy with not only writing about Feng Shui, but actually doing Feng Shui and speaking about Feng Shui, I've used my website as a way to mentor people in Feng Shui, whether you're in a location where you don't have a Feng Shui practitioner near you, but you'd still like to incorporate Feng Shui in your home. So we can get on the phone, we can use pictures, we can use Skype, we can still do a Feng Shui consultation by phone. So I use the mentor program that way. And then also I teach private lessons of Feng Shui on my website, just making an appointment and then teaching Feng Shui over the phone, because I have some people who have all the books on Feng Shui, but they still don't get it. So I sort of demystify the Feng Shui and explain it in a more simple term.
Well, that brings me to, you have a great book, and I have not finished reading it, but it's really great because it really is, I guess, user-friendly to people that might be thinking, oh, this is just too confusing. And so your new book is out, and it's published by Hay House, which is quite lovely. And, it's called Feng Shui Simply, Change Your Life from the Inside Out. So what inspired you to write that particular book on Feng Shui?
Well, I was writing about Feng Shui for a variety of different magazines. I had monthly columns and everything else, and I had called the column Feng Shui Simply. And I was trying to help people break down the concepts of Feng Shui in terms that were really easy to understand. And as I kept writing, article after article, I thought, I have a book here. And people kept saying, I didn't understand Feng Shui until I heard you speak about it, or I didn't understand Feng Shui until I read your article. And so I thought, here's an opportunity to take this wonderful subject that I love so much and really break it down in the most simple terms so everybody can understand it. So this book can be like a companion book for all the other Feng Shui books you have. It will help sort of further explain and break it down into simpler terms. And it's just, I think it's an easy read for people who just want to learn about Feng Shui and just don't know how to get started.
So do you think this is there are a lot of books out there, I mean, really. I stopped even trying to years ago reading because my mind was getting all up too crazy. So your book is different from any of the other books.
It's a little different because I realized that it's not just as simple as putting your furniture, artwork, and accessories in certain places, and suddenly you're going to have lucky events happen in your life. Because if it was that easy, everybody would do it, and nobody would need Feng Shui. So it really took a deeper understanding of Feng Shui, kind of from the inside out. Meaning, I really had to understand what was behind the Feng Shui wisdom and how it could apply not only to where you place things in your house, but how you could use it as a template to manage your life. Because it is so rich with wisdom of balance and in your life that I really wanted to say, I want to understand this Feng Shui philosophy so that when I am putting and arranging things in my home, I know why that I'm doing it, what's behind it, and how to really create this good energy flow. Because the one thing I've learned about the study of Feng Shui, it's always about improving your energy. The energy of the home, the energy of your life, that's what Feng Shui is about. It's to improve the energy. So how your home is arranged, how you interact with people in your life, the experiences you have is always about improving your energy. So whatever you're doing, you're either restoring your energy or you're depleting your energy. And if you're finding that you're with people that are sucking you dry, or your home is full of clutter and every time you walk into a room it depresses you, that's bad Feng Shui. And so anything that is chipping away at your energy storage is not good. And so if you kind of look at everything that you're doing and everything that you're putting around in your home is something that's lifting you up higher and improving your energy and is more inspiring, then you're automatically doing good Feng Shui.
It is a lot different than you have people coming in and decluttering, they call it, right? It has nothing, you can declutter all you want. It's still is not the same. Because I like how you said we're all energy is energy. We're all energy. All of us are of energy. So you could take away everything and have nothing left in your home, and that's not good either.
That's not good either. And decluttering is always the first step, because if you think of clutter is just stuck energy, it's plugging up every little available energy space in your home or your office or wherever you are. That's always the first step, is to get rid of all the stuff, because that's going to free the space up for new and more vibrant energy to enter. So, of course, decluttering is always very important, but you can't get to the point of decluttering where the space is completely empty, is as you would just say. That is not exactly good feng shui either. It's just a way to get started.
Exactly. Well, who do you hope picks up your book, or who have you found? Is it a diversity of diverse people types?
Yeah, I think the people who have been picking up from my book, the feedback I've been getting is a variety of things. So people who are even professional interior decorators, designers, or feng shui practitioners have picked up my book, because I am now approaching the feng shui about how you use it in your life, as opposed to just to decorate your home. It's more about how to use it in your life to face life challenges, to cope with change, that kind of thing. I have taken the feng shui at a different level. So I think students of feng shui and people who already have a good feng shui base of knowledge are thirsty for this book, because it's taking it several steps deeper than the other books do. And of course, I made it still simple enough that new people to feng shui, or just people who just had a little appetizer of feng shui but would like some deeper knowledge of that and be able to actually use it in their life, are picking up the book as well. So it's kind of a book for everybody.
Well, it seems to me like like I said, I haven't read the whole book, but from what I was reading, it's a great book for people, even like college people that are just in small places or anything like that. It's very important, because it's very, like I said, it's not intimidating. It's very, I love how, you clarify in a way that's not difficult to understand. And I feel that it actually would reach a lot of people, as younger people as well, not with people with these big homes or anything like that. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I agree with that, because I find that if you use it as a philosophy of life and how you live your life, even just a simple concept of balance, I think that the whole principle of yin and yang is so important, because it's sort of a place of harmony. It's not being all the way one way or all the way the other way. You can imagine like a subject such as politics or religion can really create a lot of energy one way or the other in people's opinions. I mean, some people are all the way one side and some people are all the way the other side, and then it creates conflict. So any time that you're sort of in harmony or in balance, somewhere halfway between yin and yang, then you're going to be in more of a position of power. You're going to be more neutral. You're going to be liked better by people. You're going to get along with people better. So it helps you to be a little bit more flexible when you're moving through life. And so just even that principle of understanding yin and yang can be so helpful in every situation that you face, whether you're driving down the road and you experience some road rage, or you're going into a shop and there's somebody that is behind the counter is acting, rude to you, and you're getting worked up about it. If you're always thinking about how you can manage your life using feng shui principles, you're just going to move along life a little bit more elegantly.
I like how you put that, because it's almost like it's not you come into the home, you have everything how it should or whatever, but after you leave and outside, like you said, you go out into the road rage or someone's bothering you, it's almost like it's like a ongoing meditation.
It really is, because if you take the example, I live in Sarasota, Florida, so we have a lot of tourists here during the season, which is really January through April. And so we have twice as much traffic as we do during these months than we do at any other time. And so you get on the road, and all these tourists are in town, and they want to go from the left lane across the center lane into the right lane and into a store right in front of you, crossing right in front of you. So immediately you can feel yourself getting worked up and, like tense and everything else because of this, this dominant action that's taking place, which is really yang energy. It's very action-oriented. It's very aggressive. And so rather than respond to that in the same way, which is be aggressive and have this road rage and anger going between two cars, when you see this thing happening that's considered to be active energy or yang energy, it's very aggressive, your role is to do the opposite. Your role is to be passive and just kind of let the thing go and stop the aggressive action from accumulating and getting worked up and getting worse. And so the principle of yin and yang and always going back to our neutral energy position is something we can use in every life situation.
Yeah, it keeps you mindful is what it will do.
It keeps you mindful. Yeah, it keeps you present,
yeah.
And it keeps you mindful, and it keeps you neutral. And what
Exactly.
I like the word about neutral is if you think about when you're in your car and your car is in neutral and something happens in front of you or behind you, whatever, when your car is in neutral, you can go forward or you can go backwards. You're able to go in multiple directions. But
Right.
if you're always in forward position or always in the on or the drive position and you're speeding and going forward, it doesn't give you a lot of options. So
That's
if
true.
you think about being in the neutral of your life, of just being, I'm going to sit in harmony, I'm just going to be present to what's going on, I'm not going to get too worked up and too aggressive, and I'm not going to get too passive. I'm just going to kind of hang in the neutral position. Then you're always going to be better prepared for every life situation.
I like that. And being able to adjust really well, like you said, being flexible but adjusting to any situation. It's so much better for your health and for your peace of mind. And also it helps you spend your time with the people that you connect with well, authentically
Yes, of
as
course.
well.
And so as if you think about your friends or if you're going for a lunch date and you're thinking, and you feel yourself getting worked up, oh, I really don't want to be with this person because they're kind of a buzz killer, and, I just don't like their attitude anymore, anything else, that is not restoring your energy. That's depleting or sucking you dry. So that's the kind of situation that over time when you're more aware of that, and you're going to think, I'm just not going to do that. I'm not going to go to that lunch. I'm not going to connect with that person. I'm not going to continue to be with somebody who sucks me dry. So I think that you can use that whole principle of Feng Shui to better manage who you are in connecting with and how they are helping you move to a better place and move forward in your life.
That's excellent. We're going to take a 1-minute commercial break from our sponsor at psychicaccess.com. We'll be right back. So we'll be right back in a moment. Thank you.
A new era in psychic services has begun. PsychicAccess.com. You can connect with our psychic advisors by telephone or chat 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All of our psychic advisors are interviewed, fully verified, and accuracy tested, assuring you quality service. We're living in some very troubled times right now. More and more, the world's problems are affecting us on a personal level. You don't have to deal with this alone. Our highly accurate psychics, caring advisors, and talented mediums can help with situations you are currently experiencing and can let you know what the future may hold for you. All new customers get a free 6-minute reading. All you have to do is register. Why not visit us now and get a free reading at psychicaccess.com.
Okay, and we're back, and we're talking about Feng Shui with Cheryl. And Cheryl, I wanted to ask you, you might have already talked about this, but coming up with the title of the book, because it is a very good title, even though it is long. It's longer than some, but I liked, for me, I was looking around, looking around Amazon, and I liked how simply it was, and how it can change your life from the inside out. I thought that was a really how did you come up with that?
It's very funny. The original working title I had for the book was called The Wisdom of Feng Shui. It's Not Just About the Furniture. because everybody would, when I would be out and somebody would say, oh, what do you do for a living? And I'd say, oh, I'm a Feng Shui practitioner. And they go, oh, that's about the furniture, right? And then I'd always say, no, it's not just about the furniture. Because I thought, oh my gosh, I know that that's people's initial thought about Feng Shui. It's, oh, that's where you put the furniture. But when I actually presented that title to Hay House, they really liked it, but they thought, well, I really think the essence of what you're trying to write in the book is that you're talking and speaking and teaching about Feng Shui simply, and it's really changing how you are from the inside out. And that's how we ended up with the title. So it is a rather long title, but I'm also told that when you have a long title, it actually, most people, when they write about it in a print magazine or an article, they have to write the entire title, so you get it actually a little bit more PR when you have a little bit longer title.
I like the title. No, I noticed it's usually, it doesn't bother me that it's longer, but what I like to, and we just spoke about this, anybody that's just came into the chat room or just came on listening, we just went through all this. It is more than just moving some furniture and putting yourself into a certain direction and standing there. I mean, it's much more than that, like you said. And I feel the title is fantastic because it does change your life from the inside out. Like we just spoke about, it's the yin and the yang, and being more settled or mindful, you also will stay away from crazy makers.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
Thrive through life a bit better. And a lot of people don't know that aspect. It's a wonderful, it's a spiritual, it's like spiritual development. It's part of a spiritual development.
It's another way of saying it. A lot of people, practitioners, intuitives, etc., I'm not saying anything that's really different than what they already know. It's just I'm saying that this wisdom has been present in Feng Shui for over 3,000 years. And so if I can reach people through the magic of Feng Shui and get them to understand that this moving through the world more elegantly, more kind, and more mindful is a better way for all of us to be interconnected in a very powerful way, and they learned about this through the magic of Feng Shui, I think we're all still doing the same work.
Absolutely. It's like the collective unconsciousness Yun talks about. I think absolutely, I love what you just said. It's perfect. It's just, and I really like that because I'll tell you, I never, until just now, speaking with you, thought about it in that way. It's another way for all of us to connect, and it's lovely. It really is, and this is the thing. I think people have misconceptions about what this is. That's why I know you are the best guest I could have possibly ever have come across to bring you here to let people know, because it does go deeper. Cheryl, can you give us a story, a client story of how Feng Shui improved their life?
Oh yeah, I have a million of them, but let me just pick one. What happens usually is somebody will call me because they have a certain thing going on in their life. It could be a romantic thing. It could be a career thing. It could be something. They have a problem, and they want to see how Feng Shui can help solve that problem. So it's kind of asking them, what is going on in your life that you have the least satisfaction with? And so when somebody calls me and I get to the root of that question, they might say, well, my career is going south. I had this one client who had a very successful entrepreneurial career, but she worked out of her home, and she had a live-in boyfriend who also worked out of the home and in the same office. And while she had, prior to him being there, she was very successful and had a very thriving business, kind of coinciding with the fact that when he moved in and he also moved in the same office space, that things started to slide downhill. So when I came over to the space and actually looked at it, what people don't realize, I think, is that like-minded energy is what improves Feng Shui. So when you have opposite, it's like opposites do not attract in Feng Shui. It's like-minded energy is what attracts in Feng Shui. So you had two people working in an office with completely different careers and completely different energy fields. And so what was happening is, rather than her working in this office, she's actually moving out of the office anywhere else in the house, going to coffee shops to work, being somewhere else, because she couldn't really adapt fully into her own energy, sharing a space with somebody who's on an opposite plane. So when I explained to her, she really would, one or the other would have to move out of the office, and there's a little bit of resistance. But I said, at least try this for a month, and if your career doesn't improve, then you can always change it back. So the clients went along with me. I rearranged the office. I put him in another area of the home. And, of course, her business turned around completely and thrived because she was now working back in the energy of her office and back working in full power. So that's one example of, I don't think she herself would ever ask him to move out of her thing, but it's okay for a Feng Shui practitioner to come over and ask the other person to leave the office. So, I can get to the root of the problem if you're willing to try something with me, at least for a month. Like I said, with Feng Shui, you can always change it back.
Well, that's kind of nice and helpful, but because there's a lot of people like in private practice or that do share certain areas, and sometimes one person's just not willing to step it up, and they're crazy makers, so they need to leave. But I mean, that it's good to be able to work. Cheryl, I want to ask you, what about children?
Well, children, we also can do Feng Shui with children and in children's rooms, because the one thing that I find about a lot of children's spaces is that sometimes designers or even their parents want to get super creative with a children's space. If you remember, there's a lot of shows on TV where they'll redesign a children's room, and it comes out to be this crazy, wild, they're sleeping in a box car, a race car type bed. They have these wild colors on the wall. They have things hanging from the ceiling. And, of course, with children and even with parents, your bedroom, it should be a place where you are able to sleep and rest and restore your energy. And when you have all this visual stimulation in your where you sleep, it isn't good Feng Shui. It might be creative, but it's not good Feng Shui. And children especially need to have more disciplined and more precise ways to apply their attention, whether they're doing attention to schoolwork or they're trying to wind down to go to sleep. So applying good Feng Shui in a child's room is super important.
Yeah, it would be very important for them because it's almost like it just will come naturally as they grow up too. And
actually respond. Children respond very well to Feng Shui because they like how it feels. Pets even respond to Feng Shui. I mean, there is a whole design science for good Feng Shui for pets as well, because there is, again, creating a space where they're safe and comfortable, and they have their own little area, which is considered their own little, whether it's where they sleep or they hang out, where they eat. All that has a place in Feng Shui as well.
So it makes a lot of sense. So everybody is important in the yin and the yang that are in a home together or in an office. Everybody should have the importance. I love that. Cheryl, could you, I wanted to ask you, can you give us 3 quick tips on, you have, and also everybody, she has some great tips on her website. So I suggest you try it out. I'll tell you at the end of this interview. But 3 quick tips on how to apply Feng Shui to the home.
Yes, I think the first thing you always want to do is start with decluttering. If you think of clutter as your enemy, in fact, every time that you put something on your charge card, it's probably most of the time something that's going to add to clutter. And if you really, before you even use your charge card and buy anything in a store, you should ask yourself the question, is this going to add to clutter in any way in my home? And it might actually stop you from purchasing it, and it might actually help your prosperity because you're not going to end up with a larger, credit card bill. So the way to get started with clutter is in little 15-minute increments. And there is a little Feng Shui folklore that's called the removing 27 things. The number is 27. So you grab a garbage bag, or you grab a trash bag or a garbage bag or something, and you get rid of 27 things. So it might be a stack of newspapers. You can't count each newspaper as 1, 2, 3. It counts. A stack of newspapers counts as 1, not 27. So you're moving things, you're putting things, you're going from room to room. You get rid of 27 things, and you put it in a trash can. You've made a huge dent in your clutter, and it's a 15-minute appointment. And it's easy to do. And if you did it every day of the week, your clutter would be gone pretty quickly, turned around. So that's point number 1, or tip number 1. Tip number 2 is when you decide that you're going to do good Feng Shui and apply Feng Shui, do it room by room, because it's daunting when you have to do your entire home. So start with one room. And the one room I always recommend doing is the master bedroom, because you live a third of your life in your master bedroom just by sleeping. So start with the master bedroom, take everything off of the floor, take all of the extra clutter off of your countertops and your end tables and stuff, and really try to work on having a really spacious master bedroom that doesn't have a desk in it, that doesn't have workout equipment, nothing that is a call to action and a call to activity, but is just meant for rest, relaxation, and romance and rejuvenation. And if you think about that and you transform your bedroom, you will be doing really good Feng Shui right off the bat. And then the last tip I would say is always strive for balance in your life. So as we talked about before, there is that neutral position that is defined as harmony. So always try to think about being balanced and halfway between. If you find yourself in an argument about religion, back it up and get right back to the neutral position. Get into the zone of deep listening. We all have ideas and opinions and observations and judgments, but if we sort of get back to just the concept of I'm just going to go into deep listening, I'm not going to offer an opinion unless I'm asked. And that's a way to drive you back into neutral position, because you're not Mr. Know-It-All, Miss Know-It-All telling everybody what you think, but you're just going into deep listening. That's also a position of neutral or harmony.
Yeah, I was on. I'm really pushing. Like I said, I'm not meaning to push this or so much, but I was really impressed with all the 30. They were like 33 seconds tips.
Yes, and I give tips. How to use pillows, how to.
It's excellent. It was really well done, because it was like quick, but boy, I was like the mirror in the bedroom. I found that interesting. I just want to ask you about that. I don't have, I don't like people. You remember, people have mirrors up on their ceiling for whatever they think. But I mean, what is it about mirrors in the bedroom? Does it distract from the?
Well, mirrors are considered active energy, and remember, everything is either active energy, which is considered yang energy, or passive energy, which is considered yin. So the concept of yin and yang can also be applied to rooms. So you would go to a bedroom and you would say, is this room supposed to be a yang room or a yin room? And the answer is, it's supposed to be a yin room. It's supposed to be a passive, quiet, relaxation room. So mirrors are considered active energy. You know that sometimes if you get up, you catch your self in the mirror, your silhouette in the mirror, it can actually spook you. But it's very active energy, and a lot of times when I go to a people's home, they will call me over because they can't sleep, and they want me to look at the Feng Shui of the bedroom. And if I walk in and I see mirrored bifold closet doors, or mirrors on the ceiling, or these huge mirrors that are over the dressers, I go, this is the first problem, because it's very active energy. So even if you have a mirror in your bedroom and you're not sleeping well, rather than take an Ambien or something to sleep thing, I always tell people, take your TV out of your bedroom or put your TV inside a cabinet, because that's active energy. Throw something over your mirror, a throw or a blanket or something, and try that for a month and see if it doesn't help you sleep better. Because when you're trying to create a yin or passive environment, you have to take all the yang things out of it. So the exercise equipment would go out, the desk would go out, the mirrors would go out. You would remove all of the things that have active energy in order to get a passive environment.
You know, Cheryl, one of my co-hosts, Sadia, has a question, if that's okay.
Yes, that would be great.
It's a great question, Sadia. Please ask away. It's a good one.
Oh, yes, I was just wondering. I know that I see a lot of like red front doors, and I've been told that it's related to Feng Shui, but I don't know how or what exactly it does, what it's balancing.
Okay, well the traditional red they actually have a paint color it's called the Chinese red red door. That comes from a traditional Eastern Feng Shui enhancement, and it's based on the color red is a fire color, and so it's to ignite and bring energy into the home. So when you think of all the energy comes through your front door into your home and expands there, and so by putting a red door in your front, in your entryway, it's really igniting or adding more fuel to the fire of energy coming through your front door. It actually attracts energy. If you can't put a red door, or you don't choose that color, you just don't like it, or you're in a gated association and they don't allow a red door, then choose how you can add red colors and pops of red in your front entryway to accomplish the same thing. So it could be a big pot of flowers, like the pot is red or the flowers are red, or adding that little bit of the fire element to the front door is going to attract Feng Shui and energy into your home.
That's a good question. I had noticed those red doors too. Steve also has a great question. We have time before I want to ask you the last part. Steve, are you there? He's probably on mute, but what
I was. Yes, I wanted to ask if I'm thinking of moving out of my house and building a home. So I wanted to ask you if you've got any advice on the best materials or the best environment to build in. Any tips on creating the perfect pad?
Yes, that's actually a very good question, because wherever your location is, everything around it has influence. So people who shop for, say, a lot or a piece of property, usually have a tunnel vision and they're looking only at that piece of property, not all the influences around it. So when you're driving and looking for a piece of property, really pay attention to what's all around it, whether there is funeral homes, hospitals, electrical plants, anything that would have some sort of energy influence on your personal surrounding, and any kind of feel that you get by arriving at that property, because that has all direct influence. Corner lots are usually desirable because they have more land, but they're not good Feng Shui. That's because you have traffic going in front of your property and traffic going on the side of your property. That's too much energy going, front and side and back. It's also a place where there's actually more robberies, because the police department will tell you that corner lots or houses are robbed more frequently than everything else, because you don't have that protection of neighbors on either side. So you do have a way to use the Feng Shui Bagua map on the property before you actually build a home. So you can check out how all the land is. And obviously, if you're backed up to a swamp or you have any kind of dead water, on your property or anything, all of that is not good Feng Shui. So I do cover that a little bit in my book, and I think I actually have a couple articles on my website for that. But there is a really big design science to choosing your home. But what I just said is probably the most important, is what are all the influences that are going to affect the energy and the prosperity of you and your home location.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Steve, that was a great question. Well, Cheryl, we just have a couple more minutes. So how can our listeners get in touch with you?
Well, I think what you had said is just reaching me on my website, my name, just CherylGrace.com. Once you get there, you can navigate to free video feng shui tips. I have a number of articles in there that you can download and keep. Everything is free. And you can also sign up for my free Feng Shui Simply newsletter. I send it out every week, and I address different topics of feng shui and give you feng shui tips. And of course, if you buy my book, Feng Shui Simply, you'll get obviously ways to contact me through the book as well.
Yeah, and your book, we do have on your guest page. We have listed your book on Amazon. Is there? I noticed you're getting ready to do a book signing. I know you're very busy, but can they purchase a book anywhere in the retail?
Yes, most bookstores, especially the bigger ones like Barnes and Nobles,
right.
That are storefronts, have the book in stock, or they could order it for you. You can certainly order it on the internet through Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Hay House, IndieBound, and of course anywhere that I'm appearing. If you go to my website, you'll see my book tour. Whatever bookstore that I'm at, obviously will order the books and carry them for the book signing. And, of course, I always have them in my trunk of my car as I am driving to a book signing, because I've been very fortunate is even the books that they've ordered, they sell out before I actually finish a book signing. So I have extra books with me all the time because I really appreciate everybody's thirst and interest for this book, and I appreciate all the support that everybody's giving me.
Well, it's been fantastic. Thank you so much, Cheryl, for joining us tonight. I really enjoyed this interview, and I'm looking forward to reading your book completely. And everybody, all information is on Cheryl's guest page as well. And so, Cheryl, have a great night, and thank you again.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, and all of you all had great questions, and I appreciate it so much.
Well, thank you, Cheryl. Good night.
Good night.
Hello, my name is Rez Miranda. If you're having relationship, career, or life issues, I'm inviting you to experience what it's like to have access to professional, highly accurate psychics and spiritual advisors you can trust to care and help you. Register now to get your free 6-minute reading by telephone or chat. Get answers, get access, psychic access, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. PsychicAccess.com.
Kept climbing up that corporate ladder, I felt less and less satisfaction. So I started to really think about, what am I doing? Is this my life purpose? And I think a lot of people go through that same transition, is just wondering if this is their work that they're supposed to be doing. And when I tried to answer that question, it was clearly a no. So I started to just think about what else would I like to do, and I kind of got a little bit on the path of decorating, because it seemed to be the opposite of feng shui. So I went to decorating school while still working at ESPN, and that wasn't quite it. So I went to for training to be a certified feng shui practitioner, and once I went through the program and started to apply feng shui in my home, I knew that's what I wanted to do as my life work.
So did you have a longing, or did you have a connection, do you feel, with the feng shui? I mean, it's been around, the whole concept, the principle of it, for so long, or was it not until you just decided, well, I'm going to go learn this? I mean, was it something you think maybe that was always, part of, in your home? Like, how were you even though you ended up doing this, like in your home, like, for me, for instance, lighting has always been something really important to me, and people never put lighting important. Like, remember the little spotlights, little tiny ones, you get really inexpensive. In the 80s, I remember buying those, and people go, oh, you got a beautiful home. No, I don't. It was just the lighting looked beautiful for inexpensive. So do you think that perhaps maybe this was something that you must do? I mean, it's part of, the way I look at my work, I must do this. It wasn't like I planned this, but you're so connected to it.
Well, I always felt that I was always intrigued by feng shui because I like the design science of it. I like how it helps you decorate your home and sort of create your personal sanctuary. It's the way that feng shui
yourself. But I would really like, just to get started, would you like to, actually, we can go into this. What really is amazing about you, your credentials are unbelievable. You have, and I do want to ask you about, because well, for everybody, me too. You were formerly an ESPN corporate executive, and then you transitioned into Feng Shui practitioner. And I'm curious about that backstory of how you transitioned to that full time. How did that happen?
Yeah. Well, I started out as a gymnast when I was in high school and college, and so I progressed through working for USA Gymnastics, and then got hired by ESPN Sports Network. And I went up the ladder in the corporate world, and of course, society's definition of success is just that. You know, you're a senior level executive, you make a lot of money, you get to go to a lot of places, and then you get to buy a lot of things. So I did that for about 14 years, but as Tway describes the use of color and shapes and lighting and placement of furniture and artwork and accessories, that I always found really interesting and intriguing. And in answer to your question, yes, I think I was born to do this, because once I went to Feng Shui school, I was certified at the Western School of Feng Shui out in San Diego. I was in a class with 22 other people, and I just got this information like I had known it all my life and before my life. You know, it was just inherent. And I've always said that I know Feng Shui better and deeper than I'm even physically trained in. It's just inherent in me. It's intuitive.
That's fascinating, because I know the school. I live in San Diego. I don't know if you knew that.
Oh, you live in San Diego. So, you know, my master teacher was Tara Catherine Collins, and she has written about 7 or 8 Feng Shui books. So she's a master at the subject level, and I was just very fortunate to train her.
This evening, Cheryl Grace, President CEO of Redecorating with Feng Shui, is a professional Feng Shui practitioner and a Hay House author. As a nationally certified interior refiner, Cheryl has provided residential and business consultations for a variety of clients nationally, and is an expert on staging homes for a faster and easier sale using time-proven principles of Feng Shui. And Cheryl, hello.
Hello, how are you, Maureen?
I'm doing great. I've been really enjoying. I just want to say real quick, I was on your site looking into your a lot of your videos you put on there. Everybody wants to know, like little tips. There were quite a few of them. I was doing that about a half an hour ago, enjoying every bit of them. Your videos. I'm so excited about. You know, I was searching for the best guest for this topic because it's deserving of such, and you're it. You're
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, it's true. Thank